Hal Holbrook was a beloved, powerful presence on stage and on screen. He had several major roles and continued to act up until a few years before his death. The range Hal displayed was impressive and allowed him to play several different kinds of roles. One of the most well-known was his touring production of Mark Twain Tonight. Holbrook earned a Grammy nomination and 5 Emmys throughout his lifetime. He also developed a devoted fan base. They were so dedicated they almost refused to believe reports of his death until they were officially confirmed. Keep watching as we honor Hal Holbrook's life and the influential roles he brought to life. Hal Holbrook's childhood. Hal's full name is Harold Roe Holbrook Jr. He was born February 7, 1925 in Cleveland. He grew to be a successful actor, but his childhood was less than idyllic. When Hal was 2, his mother Aileen abandoned him to join the chorus of Earl Carroll's Vanities. After his father, Harold Sr., left for California, Hal was sent to live with his grandparents in South Weymouth, Massachusetts. Hal's interest in acting was evident from an early age, but he also followed other pursuits. He attended the Culver Military Academy in Indiana for his high school years. He also enrolled at Denison University and majored in the dramatic arts, but had to leave school to serve as an Army engineer during World War II. While stationed in St. John's, Newfoundland, Hal Holbrook joined an amateur theater group. That's where he began to hone his acting skills and met his first wife, Ruby Elaine Johnston. They moved back to Denison together after the war ended. Hal Holbrook's family and love life. Hal had a daughter named Victoria and a son named David with his first wife, Ruby. They were divorced in 1965. He had another daughter named Eve with his second wife, Carol Eve Rawson. They were divorced in 1983. In 1984, Holbrook got married again to Dixie Carter. She died in 2010. Hal eventually gained the family he lacked as a child. He's survived by his children, Victoria, David, and Eve. He also has 2 stepdaughters named Jenna and Mary Dixie Carter, 2 grandchildren, and 2 step-grandchildren. Screen and TV roles. Hal Holbrook became a recurring presence on TV and movie screens. He showed an impressive range that allowed him to perform almost any role. One of his earliest screen roles came in 1970. He played a protagonist resembling John F. Kennedy in The Senator. In 1972, he played alongside Martin Sheen in the film That Certain Summer. He took on the role of a divorced man who admits to his son he has a gay lover. In 1973, he had a role in Pueblo. In 1974, he played President Abraham Lincoln in the miniseries Lincoln. In 1976, Hal played an anonymous informant known as Deep Throat in All the President's Men. It was one of his first major screen roles, as most of his previous roles had been for smaller parts. As his popularity grew, he began to earn recurring roles in TV shows. These included series such as Designing Women in the 80s and Evening Shade in the 90s. In 1993, he played the head of a Memphis law firm in The Firm. The film was based on a corporate whodunit novel by John Grisham. In 2007, he earned a film role in Into the Wild. This Alaskan adventure story was directed by Sean Penn and gave him even more fame. In 2012, he returned to the story of Abraham Lincoln, but with a different role. He played Republican Preston Blair in the film Lincoln, directed by Steven Spielberg. In 2017, Hal was beginning to slow down his performance schedule. He performed in his final television roles during this year. They included guest star spots on episodes of Grey's Anatomy and Hawaii Five-0. Hal's career was long, wide-ranging, and successful. He was nominated for and won several awards through his life. They include an Oscar nomination for Into the Wild and 5 Emmys for his work on projects such as Lincoln, The Bold Ones, The Senator, and Pueblo. Hal's stage presence. Hal Holbrook had a long and successful career in TV and film, but he was also an impressive stage actor. His first stage role was in 1961's Do You Know the Milky Way? It was a little-known and unsuccessful stage production, but brought Hal into the world of theater. He was also in Man of La Mancha and After the Fall. He took on the roles of Willy Loman in Death of a Salesman, Shakespeare's Hotspur and King Lear, and the stage manager in Our Town by Thornton Wilder. Hal Holbrook embodied Mark Twain in a worldwide one-man show. This became his most successful and well-known role. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure you give it a like and subscribe to Facts First for more. Keep watching to find out how Hal Holbrook became Mark Twain and how it kept him going through mental struggles. Edward A. Wright, Hal's mentor at Denison University, came up with the idea of a staged reading of Mark Twain's work. Hal was his favorite student, so he approached him with the idea. In 1947, Hal was already working on a production known as Great Personalities with his wife Ruby. It included portrayals of Robert and Elizabeth Barrett Browning, John Alden, Priscilla Mullins, Queen Victoria, and Prince Albert, and more. Edgar A. Wright asked him to add Mark Twain to the production. Hal wasn't originally thrilled with the idea and didn't think the jokes were funny. Despite his original reservations, he brought the character to life. The first performance of Great Expectations was in 1948. They performed their Mark Twain sketch to an audience of psychiatric patients at a veterans hospital. It was a hit and became the most popular part of the show as they continued to tour for the next 4 years. Holbrook began to create the idea for a one-man show in 1952 when his first child, Victoria, was born. He spoke to people who knew Mark Twain personally to add to the authenticity of the performance. In 1954, Hal finalized his one-man show, Mark Twain Tonight. His first performance was at the Lock Haven State Teachers College in Pennsylvania. The show eventually moved to television in 1956, with Hal appearing on The Ed Sullivan Show and The Tonight Show. Despite this success, he needed a steady job. This came in 1954 in the form of his recurring role as a recovering alcoholic in the soap opera The Brighter Day. He found himself unfulfilled by the soap opera run and wanted to return to projects he was passionate about. In 1959, he brought Mark Twain Tonight to the off-Broadway 41st Street Theater. He took the show on tour through Europe after it became a hit in the US. He performed in the UK, Germany, and several other countries. By 2017, Holbrook had been playing Mark Twain for over 6 decades. He decided to retire the role, writing to the Oklahoma theater he was slated to perform at to tell them, quote, "I have served my trade, gave it my all, heart and soul, as a dedicated actor can." How Mark Twain cheered him up. Holbrook had a difficult life and continued to struggle mentally. Fortunately, the author he portrayed so well helped him get through it. Hal wrote a set of memoirs entitled Harold, the Boy Who Became Mark Twain. They reveal he'd been lonely since being abandoned as a child and felt survival and suicide impulses working in tandem as an adult. He needed an escape, and Mark Twain provided it for him. Hal's spirits were at an all-time low in the 50s. He was sitting in a hotel room while pondering whether he should do a full show about Mark Twain. He picked up a nearby copy of Tom Sawyer and began to read it. He reveled in the way the voices came off the page, enjoying the story of the young boy and feeling his bitterness recede. In his own words, Mark Twain had cheered me up. On February 1st, 2021, Hal Holbrook's death was confirmed by his assistant Joyce Cohen. He died in Beverly Hills, California at 95. The news of his death spread via a RIP Hal Holbrook Facebook page that got nearly 1 million likes. Hundreds of fans responded on the page with messages of condolence. They also spread messages on Twitter. While there were plenty of genuine responses, some fans were skeptical due to a recent spike in fake celebrity death reports. These fears were compounded by the fact the story didn't appear on any major news networks. Celebrity Post wanted to gauge the public's opinions about the reports of Hal's death. They issued a poll in which 92% of respondents said the so-called rumors were not funny anymore. Even after the truth came out, this powerful response still shows how many devoted fans Hal had. While he may be most known for portraying Mark Twain, Hal Holbrook was a talented actor with a wide range. He added his powerful presence to televisions, movie screens, and theater stages. Did you prefer Hal Holbrook's performances on screen or on stage? Let us know in the comment section. And be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to turn on notifications to stay updated with all our latest content.